Rory McIlroy playing with Xander Schauffele and Matt Fitzpatrick won't finish until later on today. The Miami Heat introduce Giannis Antetokounmpo at 3 o'clock Eastern Time.
Live from the heart of SEC country, this is your daily fix of grit, guts, and gridiron glory. Welcome to the Deep South College Football Show.
Bowen, here he goes! Georgia retakes the lead!
Breaking down the biggest matchups, the boldest takes, and the deepest rivalries in college football on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Intercepted! They confused him! Xavier Brown headed the other way! Touchdown Tide!
From Fayetteville to Gainesville, from the Grove to Toomer's Corner, it's SEC football.
Chambers delivers! Touchdown!
Now, here's your award-winning host, Wyatt Fulton.
Welcome into another edition of the Deep South College Football Show right here on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports. Got a fun show ready for you guys today here. We are doing preseason top 25. These are preseason rankings, but we're going to do this. We're going to break this up into two parts here. So Whitman and myself are hanging out here in the Tide 100.9 studios. Whitman, how you doing, man?
I'm all right. Well, I played a little golf this morning. Could have hit it a little better, but 89, I believe, came in at an 89. Not what I've accustomed myself to this summer, but we're out on the golf course, so it can't be but such a bad day.
You can't be mad when you're out on the golf course here. So we're going to break this up into two parts here. Whitman and I are both going to be doing top 25 rankings here. And today we'll start with Whitman. We'll start with your rankings here when we look at preseason top 25. We did this last year, and it did not go too well last year. Entering the preseason last year, we went ahead and did top 25 rankings. And just to show you how useless top 25 rankings are, Whitman, do you want to hear what my top five were at this point last year?
So who's we? Did you and Chase do one together?
Me and my buddy Will. We did this.
Okay, Will was in here. All right, I got you. Go ahead. Top five.
Number 5 was Oregon. Not bad,
okay.
Right?
They finished. They kind of finished around the number 5 spot.
They did. Number 4 was Ohio State, so kind of similar.
All right.
Number 3 was Texas.
All right.
Who
Okay.
did not quite make the CFB last season.
No.
Could have been worse, though. I mean, everybody. Texas was the number one team in the AP poll.
They were one bad loss in Gainesville away from that being a good number.
This is true. Number 2 was Clemson.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, there's no way to defend that one. It's okay. My number 1 team was Penn State going into the season last year.
Oh, you bit the Penn State. You got bit by the Penn State bug.
I did. I got bit by the Penn State bug. And for the record, I was looking at these rankings last night when I was making the graphics for you here, and I was like, wow, that is horrendously bad. So I went and looked at the preseason AP poll from last year. I wasn't too far off. Penn State had 23 first-place votes. Texas had 25. So Penn State was the number 2 team coming into the preseason last year. So I wasn't too far off consensus, right?
No. But consensus is always wrong. We've got to take it above and beyond consensus.
Yeah. I also had I had LSU number 9, South Carolina number 10, Florida number 11.
We got to hold ourselves to a better standard.
Yeah. I had Miami number 14, Oklahoma coming in at 15. I had Tennessee ranked. Reigning Big 12 champion Arizona State was in the top 20.
Mm-hmm.
I had Nebraska ranked.
They played some good football the last couple of years. Not great football, not top 20 football, but maybe 24 to 30-ish range.
Maybe so. But we're hoping that this season's preseason top 25 ages a little bit better because last year's rankings aged like milk sitting out on the sidewalk for about a calendar year. It experienced the rain, the heat, the coldness of a years-long calendar there. The jug of milk got hit by a hurricane. We don't know where it ended up.
I'll tell you what, though, I feel good about mine. I feel good about it.
You're confident in this?
I looked into my crystal ball, and a lot of what I made just made sense. So I feel like I'm in a good spot.
Well, let's get it started here. Whitman, we'll do this by row, right? So first up here, we've got our bottom row for you. This is Whitman Clark's preseason top 25 rankings here. Number 25, you've got Houston. 24, you have Florida. 23, Missouri. 22, Washington. And 21, Louisville. You're riding the Gator hype? You've already got them top 25 entering the season?
Well, I will give you my brief thoughts on each team descending from 25 down to 21. Start with Houston. Not much to say about the Cougars. 10-win team last year. They're returning a former 5-star quarterback, former starter at Texas A&M in Connor Wegman. And if you still don't know that much about him, know that he's good enough to start over Houston's highest-rated recruit in program history, the number 2 quarterback in the class, Keyshawn Henderson, returning their head coach. A lot of good things that made Houston a 10-win team last year. They're bringing back this year. Florida's going to have top 25 talent, I think, if Ryan Fowler ends up as their head coach, right? Like, guys are going to want to play for the Florida Gators. They always have, and they always will. And I think when you combine that kind of talent with a guy like John Summerall, who I heard this the other day, has never lost or has never won fewer than 9 games as a head coach.
That's impressive.
Now, will he go 9-3 or 10-2 this year? Probably not. Okay, he did that at Troy. He did that at Tulane. 8 wins, I think, finds him at the 24 spot at the end of the year or around it. If he can find 8 wins in his first year as the Gators head coach. Missouri at 23. Missouri might be the prototypical 23rd ranked team in the country, right? Like, they can go scare some of the big guys. They can lay some eggs for when they play the big guys. They can go on the road to Kentucky, win by 20. They could go on the road to Arkansas and lose by 10 if they don't have it. Or if their main man, Ahmad Hardy, doesn't come out of the gate super strong, doesn't have everything going 100% following the incident in June. But they can win football games. I think I predicted Missouri 8-4 or 7-5, one or the other.
Yeah.
But that'll be at the end of the year. I think preseason going in, they're still a top 25 team as long as you include Ahmad Hardy in those conversations. Washington, really, really hard to gauge since joining the Big Ten. When Kalen DeBoer had them at their peak before he got to Alabama, they were a top 10 team, beat Oregon twice in that season. They moved to the Big Ten. They lost, Michael Penix, obviously lost Kalen DeBoer. Jed Fish, I believe, is who is in Washington right now. Yeah, he's done a great job, maintaining some level of precedent for the Washington football program. They kept Amon Williams, although I was skeptical ranking them because it's like I said on your show, it's really hard to put a lot of stock into a quarterback that does not want to play for you. So I can't put a whole lot of my eggs in the Damon Williams basket because I don't know his motivation level going into this year. However, they're still a competitive team they're either, depending on how you view the Big Ten, I would either say that they're probably the bottom of the top tier. They're like the bottom of the first tier of contenders, or they're either headlining or playing second fiddle to the best of the best in that second group. If you don't want to lump them in with Indiana, Oregon, USC, Ohio State, things like that, Washington, Michigan, there are a lot of teams that could contend for the best team out of that second tier in the Big Ten. And then Louisville, sort of a thin ACC. We know Jeff Brom's been there forever. He's got Lincoln Kienholz now, former Ohio State quarterback. We know Jeff Brom does an amazing job with quarterbacks. He's got, what is his name? Isaac Brown. Isaac Brown, the running back in the backfield. Yeah. A lot of good things coming out of Louisville. Beat Miami last year at Miami. They're always a threat to upset somebody big in the ACC, but now this kind of feels like one of those years where, okay, if you're not going to make that leap now with the top-tier running back, with the good quarterback play, with the veteran head coach, I'm going to start to wonder if we've seen Louisville's ceiling if they can't take it to the, kick it into the next gear this fall.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, like you said, Missouri being ranked is so contingent on Ahmad Hardy and what's happening with his situation, which hopefully Eli Drinkwitz is getting things kicked off at SEC Media Days next week in Tampa, Florida. So hopefully, we can get kind of an update on Ahmad Hardy so we get some clarity around that Mizzou football program. Obviously, the first things first, hope he's okay. Hope he's, recovering, obviously. But from a football aspect of things, it's going to be really important for Missouri as a program that he's healthy this season. Now, I will say the backup's really, really good. But when Ahmad Hardy's your lead guy, when he's that bell cow running back, there's kind of a dip no matter who that backup guy is. I mean, you could have Ahmad Hardy and I don't know. I mean, there's a dip no matter who's back there, right? Unless you've got a running back room of like Ahmad Hardy and Kejuan Lacey, there's going to be a dip from RB1 and Hardy to RB2 in whoever it is, unless it is another guy with that caliber of talent. No disrespect to Roberts back there, but Ahmad Hardy's that guy. Ahmad Hardy's him.
Unless you're Notre Dame and you put 2 running backs in the first round. But even then, I mean, he's a guy, maybe not the high-end projection of a Jeremiah Love, but like Jeremiah Love had a first-round draft pick as his backup, and it was still never a debate. That's the kind of guy Ahmad Hardy is.
So Ahmad Hardy, great talent, but like I said earlier, them being ranked is so contingent on what's happening with him. If he's back, if Eli Drinkwitz comes out on Monday morning and says, "Hey, he's gonna be ready to go for the first game of the season, running like he normally does," then I'm not worried about Missouri. But if it's, hey, we still don't really know if he's going to play at all this season, and if he does, is he going to be close to 100%? We don't know these things. If that's what we hear next week, then maybe that does kind of shift the focus around Missouri a little bit. But they got your guy at quarterback, Austin Simmons. You've been very, very high on him since the announcement that he was transferring to Missouri.
He may be able to go out and win him some of those games that Ahmad Hardy can't play in. Maybe he keeps them alive, elevates the team a little more than Bo Prebula could last year.
There's a reason he was named the starter over Trinidad Shambles. We haven't seen the reason yet, but a 19-year-old who won the starting job in a Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss offense, that's a good ball player. We know that's a good quarterback. So we'll see when it comes to Austin Simmons and the Missouri Tigers there. And like you said, Louisville, to me, they feel like, I don't want to call them a dark horse because they are kind of in the top 4 for odds to win the ACC. But if anybody's going to dethrone Miami, I kind of feel like it's got to be Louisville this season. They've already beaten them once in the regular season last year. So I don't know. We'll see. But I like the rankings so far here. We'll go ahead and take our first time out for our radio side of things here. And on the other side, we'll keep rolling.
But until then, you could protect what's important to you and save by bundling your auto insurance with a renter's policy from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
For more info,
It's quick, it's easy, and it's free. Go to mylocalcustomers.com today.
That's mylocalcustomers.com. Mylocalcustomers.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. Keep the water handy and stay cool heading into a scorching hot close to the week, and the hot temperatures persist through the weekend. Blazing sunshine, 92, light westerly breeze, clear and warm tonight, mild 74. Friday and Saturday even hotter, mid-90s, feeling like 105 with afternoon thunderstorm chances, and that trend continues right on through the weekend. I'm meteorologist Richard DeWetting for Town Square Media Tuscaloosa.
It's 91 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
From Tuscaloosa to the world, download the free Tide 100.9 app for all the latest on Crimson Tide sports.
Welcome back into the Deep South College Football Show. We ran 21 through 25, so let's move on here to the next set of rankings here, 20 through 16. Number 20, you've got Utah. Number 19, Tennessee. Number 18, Iowa. Shout out the Hawkeyes getting some love. Number 17, Michigan. And number 16, Penn State. A very heavy Big Ten presence when you look at kind of the bottom half of your rankings here.
I took some motivation from the College Football Playoff Ranking Committee when they started talking about,
be careful now.
The whole Miami Notre Dame situation, how that worked. They rank teams in clusters.
Okay.
These 3 teams are very comparable, so they'll sit together right here. These two, these three. 16, 17, and 18 all felt very interchangeable to me. Iowa's probably the best defensively out of this group, which should come as no surprise right now because of the fact right now
Michigan?
I'd say probably right now because of the fact that Iowa's the only one returning a head coach, returning a system, returning the IQ of that system. Kyle Whittingham probably has the overall coaching capabilities to elevate his team higher than Iowa this year. But first year, Bryce Underwood still has a lot to prove to me before Michigan, in my eyes, has a chance to get back into the upper echelon of contenders, both in the Big Ten and throughout the rest of the country. Penn State, very balanced, probably the most balanced out of these two teams. They've got the veteran quarterback in Rocco Beck coming over with his new head coach, Matt Campbell. Well, not new to him, new to the school. And they're bringing in a lot of Iowa State guys to play defense as well. That's a bit of a concern for me because I don't know how Iowa State's defense last year would have held up in the Big Ten in regards to the big dogs. But
right.
It's still Penn State. There's still going to be a lot of talent on that football team. Their quarterback play probably elevates them a little over Iowa in my eyes. And then Michigan, I just think their Michigan's floor is probably a lot higher than both of these teams. Mm-hmm. However, I don't know about their ceiling. First-year head coach, very unproven quarterback, lot going on, lost Justice Haynes. They're going to have to prove it to me. But right now, they probably have the highest floor out of these three teams. I just think the other two probably have a bit of a higher ceiling. Penn State because of their quarterback, Iowa because their defense is going to be an Iowa defense. Tennessee, a lot of talent on the field. The quarterback scares me. I felt kind of skeptical ranking them anywhere, honestly, because of that quarterback thing. But Josh Heupel, he keeps his team in a lot. He keeps his teams in a lot of big games with a lot of really good schools. He's going to have to this year. A lot of really good football teams are coming to Neyland Stadium to play Tennessee. Alabama, Texas are a couple of those. But there's still a lot of talent on this Tennessee football team. The quarterback right now is just the only thing holding them back from maybe being a little higher. And then Utah has just sort of established themselves as perennial second, third, fourth place in the Big 12.
Yeah.
I think if you look at the rest of my rankings, you will see that they fit very accordingly for a third or fourth place finish in the Big 12.
Yeah, and you mentioned the floor for Michigan here. I mean, their head coach could not have cared less about game planning, could not have cared less about game preparing last season. I mean, he was busy getting extracurricular services, and Michigan still found a way to make a New Year's Six bowl game and compete at a pretty high level last season, even, like I mentioned, with the head coach, with everything going on around that program. And, oh, by the way, you started a true freshman quarterback all season long. Now you bring in Kyle Whittingham. So, yeah, I think Michigan's floor should never be – like Michigan's floor should, at the very worst, probably be like a fringe top 25 team. Their ceiling, we've seen them hit it before, winning a national championship with Jim Harbaugh and the crew that they had back in 2023. And then I completely agree with with Utah. Utah just feels like this perennial going to start somewhere between 20 and 25. On a great year, they may start inside the top 15, but they're always going to be somewhere in the bottom half of those top 25 rankings. They're not necessarily going to be number 10. They're not necessarily going to work their way into single digits, but Utah is very rarely, I feel like, a team that is sitting on the outside looking in when it comes to the top 25.
And they're going to play like a fringe 20 to 15 kind of team more times than not. I think any given year now, they could go win the Big Ten. If Texas Tech's not running away with it because of how good their roster is, Utah, BYU, now Houston this year, there are a lot of teams that always have a shot to go win the Big 12. I just think third place in the Big 12 screams 20th to like 22nd on a top 25 ranking list.
That's not bad, though. I mean,
No,
this is a program that less than 20 years was not in the Power 4 conference.
No.
Was not a Power 4 program. Then they make their way into the Pac-12. Pac-12 kind of blows itself up or gets blown up by the Big Ten, and then they make their way to the Big 12. And they've been, I've been a little disappointed because they were always one of the more physical teams in the Pac-12. So I thought the transition to the Big 12 may have been a little bit easier than it has been. But I like their new head coach, longtime defensive coordinator there. He's been with Utah for a while, so they retained a lot of pieces on that team. So I don't hate the ranking. Here. Let's go ahead and move to 11 through 15 here for you, Whitman. And here's where we start to see a couple more of these SEC teams populate here, right? You had 2 SEC teams in that first row, 1 in the second row. Here you got 2 in the third with Alabama at 11, LSU at 13. You've also got USC at number 12, Texas Tech at 14, 1 spot ahead of BYU. So Brendan Sorsby, maybe regardless of not having Brendan Sorsby.
Shout out Brendan Sorsby. We had
shout out Brendan Sorsby. But even without him, you still have Texas Tech as a better team than BYU overall.
I do. And I think if Brendan Sorsby had not gone through what, if he were going to be the starting quarterback week 1 and throughout, Texas Tech probably finds himself at about number 10 on this list. I went through a couple of different rankings trying to formulate some sort of idea of what I wanted or what I thought, and a lot of them had Texas Tech 8, 9, 10. Every time I went to fill in a school, 8, they're not, or they're better than Tech. 9, they're better than Tech. 10, 11, 12, same story. I mean, I don't think Texas Tech's better than LSU. I don't think they're better than USC. And I damn sure don't think they're better than Alabama. So let's just go ahead and get that cleared up. But as I mentioned to Utah, you will see why they're the quintessential perfect spot for the third ranked team in the Big 12, because as you can see, they are my third ranked team in the Big 12, right behind BYU, both of those being a little further behind Texas Tech. LSU, talent needs no introduction.
Yeah.
They could very well, they are in the middle of this list for a reason. Like, this is a bingo card, and LSU is the free spot. Yeah. They could very well find themselves in the top left corner of this thing. They could very well find themselves a couple spots down below Houston off of it. Yeah. But they will have games to show us where they belong on this list early in the season, and I'm really looking forward to seeing which direction they move on my list. As for USC, we know when USC at its peak is Alabama-esque, Ohio State, Notre Dame, what Georgia's been able to do. They are national championship caliber teams when USC is peaking. I don't think this is 2003, 2004 USC, but this is the best that Southern Cal has had since then. Lincoln Riley has finally started to culminate his own culture, his own guys. Jaden Mayava will be starting again. He's going to have a lot of Heisman buzz going into the year, especially if he, beats up on the little guys early, does his job in the non-conference. There is a lot of hope in Southern Cal for the Trojans this year, and if they can't get it done this year, it's much like Louisville, where maybe, have we seen Jeff Brom sailing at Louisville? Have we seen the best of Lincoln Riley at USC? Because if he can't make the playoff this year, then I think we've seen the best of him. And then for Alabama, there are just 3 losses last year that make people forget just how good this team was at its peak. Yeah. At its peak, the team walked into Sanford Stadium, beat the Georgia Bulldogs. Nobody else has done that in the 2020s, and we're more than halfway done with them. They beat 3 consecutive ranked teams right after that. They beat Vanderbilt by double digits. Yep. They beat Missouri by not double digits, but they beat them anyway. On the road, 7-0 Missouri. Biggest game at that stadium in a decade. Went into the Iron Bowl, jumped out, 17-0. Yeah, double-digit multi-score lead. They let Auburn it slip up, but I really think that we let the SEC championship game and then obviously the Rose Bowl kind of define the whole season for Alabama, when people choose to forget that they found themselves at the number 4 spot at one point before losing a very close, very winnable game to Oklahoma at home. They were the number 4 team in the country when that happened. So I think there's a lot of potential for Alabama to climb back up into the single digits. It's all going to hinder on quarterback play and offensive line, though, because I'm pretty certain of what we're going to get out of the wide receivers, and I'm kind of certain that we're going to see increased production out of the running back room, halfway because it is loaded with talent, halfway because there's no way it could get any worse. And then obviously I feel like the defense is kind of spoken for in a way that, we kind of know what we're going to get out of this Alabama defense, certainly the Alabama secondary. But if Keelan Russell, maybe Austin Mack, whichever one starts, if they can kind of pick up where Ty Simpson left off in the, October, early November, I think this team's got a really good shot at climbing into these rankings a little higher. But right now, they finished last season. They went into the college football playoff as a 9 seed, beat the 8. However, did lose to the 1 by 35 points. So
got spanked by the 1.
You knock them down a little out of the top 10 with some reason for motivation going into the season.
LSU to me feels like the most boom or bust team ever. almost on this list. Oh yeah, ever just about. I mean, if they hit their peak, I mean, we're talking about playoff contention, maybe even a bye in year number 1 under Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss. Blake Baker stays with that defense. But if they hit their floor, like you said, they could be a couple of spots behind Houston and off this list. I mean, LSU, like you said, I'm going to use your words here to reiterate your point. The talent needs no introduction. We know exactly how talented this LSU roster is. We know exactly what this coaching staff is capable of. It's just, can they mesh cohesively early in the season with so many big games on the schedule in the first 4 weeks there? And then on the flip side, or on adding on to that there, what is the status of Sam Levitt? I understand, Lane Kiffin keeps saying he'll be fine, he'll be good, but if that foot injury rears its ugly head again and hinders him the way it did last season at Arizona State, now you're starting Hassan Longstreet, who is a former 5-star. He's going to be good in the future, but is that somebody you want to have to rely on this early in the Lane Kiffin era at LSU? Now, next season, different story. He'll have a season of development under his belt, but in 2026, seems like it may be a little early
for the young buck.
Yeah, a little early for him. And then USC, again, is another team that has that kind of boom or bust potential. I went ahead and pulled up their schedule here. San Jose State, Fresno State, Louisiana, and at Rutgers to start the season here. Then you play Oregon, but you get them in Southern Cal. Then you play Washington again at home. You go to Penn State and to Wisconsin in back-to-back games with the bye week sandwiched in the middle there. So these West Coast teams, we've really seen them struggle when they go east and when they go east, they're eastward in Big Ten play, right? I think I saw a stat the other day. Jed Fish in Washington, as good as they've been, they're like 0-5 against the spread when they go 2+ time zones the other direction. Oregon has really struggled when they go 2+ time zones the other direction. Same thing with USC. They really, really struggle. These West Coast teams are really, really struggling when they got to go to the East Coast and play some of these games over there.
How cool would it be, though, if schools like Oregon, Southern Cal, Washington, like Utah even, you maybe hang on, we throw some schools in. I'm just spitballing here, so stick with me. Schools like Oregon, Washington, Southern Cal, maybe UCLA, keep that rivalry. We go down south on the West Coast, grab Arizona State, maybe go get Utah. Oh, Oregon State, you got to have the Oregon State rivalry. If you got Washington, you got to have Wazoo.
Got to get that Apple Cup rivalry.
And then
what about Colorado? It's just barely north there too.
There's Cal, there's Stanford. I mean, that would make a heck of a football conference, wouldn't it? They could play their games after the whole national slate is done. We could call it after dark football or football after dark. We would just need a name for the conference. Hang on. So the ACC does Atlantic, so Pacific.
Okay, I like this.
Pacific Athletic, because it's not the Pacific Football Conference, it's athletics.
It's an athletic conference, right? So
Pacific Athletic Conference. And there'd be I think I mentioned 12 teams.
12 teams in that conference.
So PAC, and then 12. We should call it the Pac-12. I'm a genius.
Man. We're gonna head to Indianapolis and take this to the NCAA office because
we've got ideas here.
It could be such a good conference. I mean, you've got the history of USC, Oregon being kind of that new powerhouse on the block there. Washington's had their ups and downs in histories. I mean, I don't know. Could be a lot of fun. Feel like a conference made up of those teams would be a lot of fun.
Sounds like it.
Allegedly could be a lot of fun.
What do we know?
Not a damn thing, apparently. All right, we'll go ahead and take our next time out here for our radio listeners here, and then we'll dive into Whitman's top 10.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed-sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
For more
Location, corner of Skyland East Boulevard and Palisades Drive. TuscaloosaMazda.com. TuscaloosaMazda.com. For details, visit TuscaloosaMazda.com.
24/7, 365. We've got all your coverage of the Crimson Tide on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
All right, we're rolling into the top 10 here for Mr. Whitman Clark, who gave us his top 25 rankings, made the graphics last night here. Looking at the top 10, now we're rolling into the teams that people think, all right, they can compete for a national championship this season. No disrespect to anybody beneath this list here, but looking at it here, Whitman, I feel like it's kind of safe to say there's a big gap between 7, I would say, and the rest of the country in terms of I think they can, or like we think they can actually win a national title, right?
I would say my true cutoff of this team just isn't going to do it is Texas Tech and beyond. I think LSU is probably the last team that I'm letting into, they can go win it. Because LSU, the talent, that's national championship talent. USC, Lincoln Riley's been to the playoffs. He's got his quarterback. He's got talent there. Alabama's always going to be able to win a championship until you just know.
Yeah.
They've got the talent, though, and DeBoer's the right guy. I don't care what any of you have to say. Oklahoma, they're top end when John Mateer is on. He's like, they can go.
They couldn't run the ball or protect him to save their lives last season, and they won 10 ball games. Walked into Neyland and Bryant-Denny and won games.
Ole Miss, they can do it. I find it very unlikely, but they can do it. A&M, same thing. I mean, talent coming out of everywhere. Miami, and then, of course, at 6 and 7, you have last year's national championship game. So talk about Oklahoma. I think 7 or 8, 9, and 10, I mentioned 16, 17, and 18. You see a cluster of 3 SEC teams the way you saw a cluster of 3 Big Ten teams. I think of A&M, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma a lot like I think of Penn State, Michigan, and Iowa, just a lot better. This SEC cluster is more like a mid-level of the top tier of the SEC. That 16, 17, and 18 is like the best of the second tier of the Big Ten.
Right.
Oklahoma and Ole Miss played very good football game last year. Ole Miss, I believe Oklahoma will play A&M.
Yes, they do play this season.
Okay, so that'll be a great game, very evenly matched ball game. Ole Miss gets Oklahoma, no?
Yes, Ole Miss has got to go back to Norman, back to Norman, and then the next week later, Oklahoma welcomes in Texas A&M. So back-to-back games against your 8 and 9 there for Oklahoma.
I foresee some close football games for 8, 9, and 10 there. Any one of those 3 could find themselves in Atlanta in December. Any one of those 3 could find themselves in the college football playoff. I think any one of those 3 could finish outside of the top 20 if things don't go the way that they need to, if the wheels just fall off. But if the wheels stay on, those are 3 very good teams with a fighting chance to win a national title. Miami, people, before they lost to Louisville, were talking like this might be the best team in the country, most talented team in the country. Mario Cristobal has developed a culture in the offensive and defensive line at Miami that is fearful.
Yes.
Like that will strike fear into a good man's heart lining up against a Miami right guard.
Yeah, like you don't want to face Miami in the trenches.
No, lining up against a Miami defensive tackle. No, because it is good on good every day in practice, and they're just in there like a dog fight, just making each other more mean, more hurtful towards the outside world. And then Indiana, far and away number one team in the country last year. If you debate that, I would ask you to do it to one of these many trees that we have in the great state of Alabama, because that's the only thing that you deserve to be talking to. However, they lost a lot of talent to the draft, and I still really would like to know how much Fernando Mendoza truly meant to that football team. I would be extremely interested to find out just how good he was, because I feel like he should have won the Heisman. He was the deserving Heisman, but I had a couple of questions about it, because everything Indiana did was so good. You know, was Fernando Mendoza the most outstanding player in the country? I don't think we know, because how many times did he actually have to go be outstanding? He had to lead his team down the field against Penn State. He had to dive in the end zone to win the national championship, and he had to grit out 13 ugly points against the Buckeyes. But other than that, how many times did we see Fernando Mendoza need to be at his best, and then he went out there and was at his best? Because that's how good Indiana was. I think we're going to find out this year.
I think Indiana, I've got their quote-unquote depth chart pulled up here from the website that we've been using for all of these previews and prediction shows. Charlie Becker is back at wide receiver, so we know he's damn good. Carter Smith is probably the best left tackle in the country. He's back at left tackle. You do return veteran guys in Drew Evans and Bray Lynch along that offensive line. But outside of that, there's a lot of new names on this Indiana roster. Nick Marsh is a very, very talented wide receiver. He's now in Bloomington there. Turbo Richard is the running back, the kind of projected starting running back who, if your name's Turbo and you're not fast, you got a problem. But Turbo Richard is the projected starting running back, a junior transfer, I believe from Boston College, if I remember correctly. Boston College.
All-time name fantasy draft. Who's getting the ball on your team more than the other? Turbo or Nitro?
I would say Nitro. Indiana missed a golden opportunity for Turbo Richard and Nitro Tuggle to be on the same team here, but it is what it is. Josh Hoover, the TCU transfer. It's no secret how much I like Josh Hoover. If he can kind of bring back down the kind of the turnover-worthy plays, those kind of head-scratching plays, then I think they could be I think he can be a very, very good quarterback for Indiana this season. A lot of the same stuff that, like, we have some questions about this Indiana roster, but I think going in, we respect Indiana a lot more going into this season than we did going into last season, because Indiana was number 20 in the preseason AP poll last year.
Now they're 6.
In the I didn't have them at, again, preseason rankings mean jack diddly squat.
They weren't in your top 25?
I had them at number 26 last season, because I go through and I fill out a top 30.
I got you.
Just for gets and shiggles, basically.
The only ball knowledge I will claim over Indiana is wanting with everything in my body to pick them over Oregon last year, but not having the stones to do it. Maybe my biggest regret, because I would have come in here that Monday and been an absolute problem to everybody listening on air had I correctly picked Indiana.
South Park, you need the wheelbarrow.
Oh my God! Yes, I'd be like Stan's dad from South Park when he's toting that thing around in the wheelbarrow.
Yeah, you didn't need the wheelbarrow there. But 11 through 6 for you here. They have all made the college football playoff last season. Now we're getting into teams that you think can make the college football playoff. Again, this is preseason top 25 here, but you've got Alabama as a playoff contender, Oklahoma. We expect them to be a better football team than they were last season, with changes along the offensive line, with changes in that running back room and the coaching staff there.
With the bettering of John Mateer's hand.
Yeah, the fact that John Mateer hopefully gets to play a full season healthy, because they were pretty damn good last year and he wasn't 100% except for, the first 3 games out of the season. Ole Miss, again, great running back room, great defense with led by Pete Golding there. Brought in a couple of key transfers.
A very deep running back room, might I add. There are a lot of talented running backs in the Ole Miss running back room.
Yes.
For you YouTube scoundrels.
A lot of great talent in that running back room. Very deep running back room. And then, as always, Trinidad Chambliss, best quarterback in college football. Texas A&M, the roster's great. The roster's really, really good. If we can get consistency out of Marcel Reed, Texas A&M's going to be a problem this season. Miami, yes, they went out and lost Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor. But it feels like, especially, again, our airwaves talk a lot about Alabama. So maybe we don't always have the best knowledge of what's going on around the country. but they brought in the number one offensive tackle in the country in last year's recruiting class. I feel like he's probably going to be an immediate impact type of player.
Brought in probably one of the better quarterbacks in the transfer portal as well. They're probably better than Carson Beck.
Definitely better than Carson Beck. And Darian Mensah.
I was a big Carson Beck guy. Now, maybe as a human, I don't know.
As a human, no. As a player, all right, I get it.
I really thought he still had a chance to be the truth. He just kept proving me wrong game after game in 2024, and I'm like, oh, just wait a minute. And then in 2025, he played okay.
He was good.
He was good
in 2025. He was decent in 2025, and then had a very unfortunate last-second moment there in the national championship. We'll go ahead and take our last time out for the radio side, and we'll get into Whitman Clark's top 5 here on the Deep South College Football Show.
West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
Alabama's 21st annual back-to-school sales tax holiday begins a tick after midnight tonight. The dispute over who won the Perry County Commission seat number 1 and the Democratic primary is over. A vote by the party's executive committee chair gives it to Donald Bennett, the challenger. West Alabama catfish farmers say they've been operating at a loss the last 3 years due to price undercutting from foreign imports. They are asking the U.S. Ag Department to purchase surplus catfish. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more news. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of The Game, we're going to have a chance to catch up with All-American offensive lineman Mike Johnson, radio host over in the Atlanta area. We'll talk with Mike Johnson. We'll have a chance to talk with Rodney Orr. Nick Kelly stops by. We'll talk Alabama, Crimson Tide football. SEC Media is certainly on our mind as we get ready for Tampa. Right here on The Game, starting at 2 p.m. with Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide sports.
The longest-running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to...
New location. Corner of Skyland East Boulevard and Palisades Drive. TuscaloosaMazda.com. TuscaloosaMazda.com. For details, visit TuscaloosaMazda.com.
Tide 100.9. Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. Keep the water handy and stay cool heading into a scorching hot close to the week, and the hot temperatures persist through the weekend. Blazing sunshine, 92, light westerly breeze, clear and warm tonight, mild 74. Friday and Saturday even hotter, mid-90s, feeling like 105 with afternoon thunderstorm chances, and that trend continues right on through the weekend. I'm meteorologist Richard DeWetting for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 92 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Did you miss any episode on Tide 100.9? Don't worry. All of our shows can be found on Spotify and Apple Music and on demand on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Deep South College Football Show, and we move to the top 5 here for Whitman Clark. You've got Oregon at number 5, Texas at 4, Georgia at 3, Notre Dame 2, and Ohio State takes your spot as the number 1 team in the country. What was it about the Buckeyes that put them over everybody else?
They returned the quarterback. I know that everybody will talk about, the losses on defense, but people talked about the losses on defense in 2024, including the loss of Jim Knowles, their defensive coordinator, and they went and got better. As long as Matt Patricia is wearing the scarlet and gray as a defensive coordinator, I have no worries personally about the Buckeye defense. Again, I've mentioned it before. That is a Super Bowl champion defensive coordinator who did it a lot. He didn't just ride one really hot defense into the postseason and get lucky with a good quarterback. He championed a lot of really, really good defenses during his time in New England. Obviously, you give Julian Sayin a Jeremiah Smith to throw to. That connection's only going to get stronger. They lost a lot. They did lose Carnell Tate, but I don't think Ohio State lost enough to really knock them at all in any way. What they bring back, I just trust them to play like a number 1 team for a majority of the season.
So looking at your top 10 here, you've got 2 SEC teams, you've got 2 SEC teams before you see your second Big Ten team in Oregon there. What is it about Oregon, right? Because, I feel like most people are going to have Oregon pretty highly ranked. Not to say they're not highly ranked, but a lot of people are probably going to have Oregon very high up there. I wouldn't be shocked if some people have got Oregon above both those SEC teams, especially when you look at Dante Moore, DeCorian Moore, and the crew coming back in Eugene.
I wouldn't hate them.
Coordinators?
I wouldn't hate them if they did. You know, Oregon has been a good football team for a very long time now under Dan Lanning. However, you're exactly right. They did lose both coordinators. And while returning Dante Moore is probably enough to make them a championship contender, I'm very intrigued as to how losing those two coordinators plays out. Just how important was Tosh LaPoy to the defense? Just how important was Will Stein to the offense? We're going to have to wait and see. But obviously, you mentioned it, DeCorian Moore coming back with Dante Moore. That connection, much like the Say and Jeremiah Smith connection, is only going to get stronger, only going to get better. Yeah. Oregon returns one of the best front sevens in the country, talent all over the defensive line. They've got a chance to go beat Ohio State or Indiana on any given Saturday. Right now, they've just got to do it because their only win of real, true meaning right now as a member of the Big Ten was beating Penn State in the Big Ten title a couple of years ago when everybody kind of penciled them in as a predetermined winner, number one team in the country going in, and then obviously got spanked by Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. They got clobbered by Indiana in the Peach Bowl. They did shut out Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl last year before that, but
they did.
I'm going to need to see some more of substance from Oregon before I can put them above even a Texas that's been to the college football playoff and has won games, was one game away, one quarter away from going to a national championship, something that Oregon cannot say.
That's fair. That's fair. I can't help but notice you don't have a G5 team in here with the college football playoff requiring a G5 or a G6 rep.
I tried.
Who would be your highest rated?
I tried.
Group of 6 team?
Probably would be Boise State, just due to comfort. What we know out of Boise State, a lot of those good American squads that find themselves ranked in the past couple of years, a lot of them lost head coaches. I would look out for Memphis with Charles Huff, who has just been on the up and up for the last couple of years. He has been
Marshall, Southern Miss, now Memphis.
I mean, he has been on fire in terms of climbing the ladders of the coaching world. But other than Memphis, Boise State, maybe look out for East Carolina late in the year if they pile together another 8-9 win season. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I didn't really see a lot of room for Group of 5 schools on this list. I tried. Another school I tried to work in was Georgia Tech, but I couldn't pull the trigger on them either.
That's fair. That's fair. So there's the top 25 rankings from Whitman Clark. We'll do my top 25 tomorrow here on the Deep South College Football Show, and get ready for SEC Media Days coming up in Tampa, Florida. We are 4 days away from heading down to Tampa for SEC Media Days. Coming up next on the radio side of things, the game with Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.